What's happening, everyone? JayShockblast here, and Marvel Future Revolution is coming at a time TBD, eventually, someday, I don't know when, but it was announced and introduced this weekend at PAX East 2020 in Boston, Massachusetts, and I was there for it. The Marvel Mystery Panel presented by Netmarble. We all knew that a new game was going to be announced, and Netmarble was making it, obviously. So that meant mobile, and we were right. Open world RPG Netmarble game. Now, if you play Marvel Future Fight recently, they did a change to their story mode, and now it all makes sense. I think we were guinea pigging what gameplay could be like in Marvel Future Revolution. It kind of seems to be that they've got this new technology they were working on, and they tried to shift it into Marvel Future Fight. If that's the case, I'm a little scared, because I do not like the new story mode on Future Fight at all. I've played through it once, and I don't really intend on playing it again. But you know, we'll see. I'm very cautiously optimistic because the game does look like it's going to be really cool. Basically, you've got another kind of Flashpoint type. Not really. I guess maybe it isn't Flashpoint, but it's like a convergence. During Marvel Infinity, there was the convergence where worlds were blending together, and you've got all these different universes colliding and becoming one. Our main characters that we're going to start off with so far are Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, Captain America, and Doctor Strange. We did see references to New Stark City, so maybe Iron Man will be involved in some way, I have to imagine. There's Xanderth, which got me super excited because Xandar is the home of the Nova Corps, and that means we will probably have Nova in some way, shape, or form, which isn't a surprise because Bill Roseman, I believe, was very heavily involved with Nova and Annihilation Conquest, which is one of my favorite stories of all time, which is why I always give him the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, anyway, I could talk about Nova all day. You guys know that. So yeah, Xander, that got me super excited. The Nova Corps is going to be somehow involved, and hopefully Nova is playable. And then there was also, I don't remember the exact name of the Sakaar level, but Sakaar, which is Planet Hulk. So, probably some Hulk. We got to see some villains that we're going to match up against. We saw MODOK, Baron Mordo. We saw Red Skull. We saw Green Goblin, who also turned into Red Goblin, which is interesting because I don't think we've seen Red Goblin in a video game yet that I can think of. Unless he was in Battle Lines. I don't know. I've never got a card for him in Battle Lines. So, anyway, we also saw Yellow Jacket as a boss battle. So, very interesting stuff. So open world RPG, there's going to be lots of customization. We saw them changing things up for the characters. We saw, Spider-Man with a Captain Marvel looking spiked helmet. We saw, Captain America with, the Hydra logo on his chest. Lots of variations of Captain Marvel and Doctor Strange. It was really cool. And this is the type of game I have been hoping for a very long time. I think this is going to be a really cool game that I'm really looking forward to. Kind of reminds you a little bit of DC Universe Online in the way that you can kind of customize your character to look like other DC characters. But, it's mobile. And I don't know. I feel like mobile games are for when you're, supposed to be doing work. I spent many times doing customer support where I was just sitting there playing games on my phone. Sorry guys, you guys are boring and don't get to the point making phone calls. Just saying. That's probably what most tech support people are doing when you call them. Anyway, pooping. When you poop, get a good game in. When you're the passenger on public transportation, it's not something that I really think of as like, hey, I want to really sit down and run through this. I do my World Boss Ultimate in my morning during my morning bathroom session, you know? Like, I know this is TMI, but I'm just saying, you know, that to me is what mobile games are about. They're to kill time. And I love Marvel Comics. I love their characters. So I play a lot of them. And it's not because it's more because I love the characters than it is the gameplay. Like, honestly, I just go through the motions at this point with Marvel Future Fight. I just do all my daily stuff so I can keep building my characters. I love building my characters. Open world RPG really appeals to me because I want to be able to go ahead and play that, but I don't want to play it on my phone. I want to play with a controller in my hand on my Xbox or PlayStation or, you know, Switch, I guess, or PC. I don't want to and I feel like most, you know, gamers, that's what we want. And it's not Netmarble's fault, you know. They're a mobile game studio. That's what they do. They were asked the question, you know, will this come to console? And, you know, they basically shrugged. And, I mean, they might as well have just said no. I mean, that's the impression that I got, is that they were not wanting to say no, but not wanting to disappoint the room that because it was being live streamed, you know. So I don't know what to say, though, you know, like, I love Marvel Comics. I love their games, but I question, like, their approach on a lot of these things, you know, like, there's like 7 different active Marvel games on mobile, you know. There's going to be there's Future Fight, there's Strike Force, there's Battle Lines, there's Puzzle Quest, there's Contest of Champions, there's the Super War that's coming out. I mean, do we really need that many Marvel games? It's kind of a little overkill. And I never thought I'd say that, but I'm just talking about mobile. You know, meanwhile, on console, if you happen to have a Switch, you can play the somewhat disappointing Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. If you happen to have a PlayStation 4, you can play Spider-Man. And soon, fortunately, Marvel's Avengers will be out in September. And, you know, they're not making it so that you have to buy one console to play that, fortunately. You know, fortunately, that is going to be available for everybody. So, actually, maybe it might not even be on Switch. I don't know. I can't remember. But, you know, and I think those games are going to last a while. But, you know, they don't get nearly the support of mobile. You know, like, imagine Marvel Heroes Omega was still here, and we had access to all the characters they have in Marvel Future Fight, right? Like, that'd be amazing. Like, and they left us with nothing when they dropped MHO, and, you know, it sucks. And they were asked, you know, how is this going to compare to Marvel Heroes Omega? And I felt like the answer was pretty fair. You know, they did kind of duck talking about Marvel Heroes, but I felt like the answer, you know, is that this is, you know, open world, so you can kind of come at it from all directions, and it's more of an RPG, so you're developing your character as opposed to simply playing as others. I think they like to feel like it's a little bit more in depth, but I don't know. I want something more like Marvel Heroes, not necessarily like another Diablo clone, but you know, something more like Star Wars: The Old Republic, you know. Like, I really and truly feel like this is fine if this is what they want to do, but I don't want to keep dropping money in different mobile games. Like, and I know that I have the power to not do that, but I've also admitted in the past that, like, there's something wrong with my brain where, like, I get so involved in these games and I just have to have everything, you know. And that's on me, but I'm embarrassed to admit how much I've spent on these games, and I feel like they're positioned in a way where, even though they're technically free, you know, they want you to really spend, and some of them are more fair than others. I mean, Future Fight has some, you know, questionable costs involved with some of the stuff, but I do feel like, you know, if all you're doing is buying the bio subscription every month, that you can get by and be competitive and earn enough points to get costumes here and there to make your characters better. But Strike Force, like, if this game ends up being anything like the monetization of Strike Force, then I'm out, you know? Like, I've had to personally stop like almost cold turkey spending in all these games, because I just can't do it anymore. Like, I can't take it when there's a new character that comes out and there's a $50 offer so that you can get the most basic version of the character, not even like a strong version of the character, so you can barely use them, you know? And then 6 months later, when they finally make, you know, the ability to get that character a little more freely available, it's a struggle, you know? And I love Strike Force. I definitely think it's the best Marvel mobile game going right now, but like, I just can't take how much it costs to play it if you want to get any of the new characters. And I don't know how they're going to monetize this game. And I think that's my biggest fear with, you know, this open world RPG that I want to play and I want to love, but I don't want to play it this way. And I hope that Marvel understands that making money trap mobile games is not the only way to make video games. And I understand that there's Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, but you can only play that if you have a Nintendo Switch, and the support for it has been poor, and the game for it has, like, the game itself is overly complicated. Like, they wanted it to be, they half wanted it to be a Dark Souls game while also still being able to be played by, you know, kids. I think they forgot their audience, like the wrong studio for that game. But, you know, PlayStation 4, you know, you've got Spider-Man, where, you know, if you happen to only have a PlayStation 4, you can play, you know. And I actually have the Spider-Man PlayStation 4. You know, my red PS4 sits there and I love it. But what about the Xbox kids, you know? Like, there's no exclusive game for them. I mean, we got Marvel's Avengers coming soon, but even that has stuff that's only on PlayStation. So I just don't really like the direction that Marvel Games is going in general. You know, they say Marvel is for everyone, or maybe it was Spider-Man is for everyone, but it's really not. It's for the people that happen to have the right devices, you know? And I don't really like that, you know? I'm very intrigued by this game. I really want, I'm going to play it, all right? I'm going to play it a lot. I'm going to make my videos, and I'm going to be honest. That's all I've ever been, is honest, you know? I love Marvel Heroes, and it's funny because people used to criticize me for, like, oh, you're in their pocket. They're paying you to say that. And, you know, honestly, I would rather pay $20 for a new character that I can level up to be as good as they can be on day one and get a costume with it, than with Strike Force. For $50, you can maybe get a character that is like 40% of what he could be, and then you're gonna have to wait a long time for them to be a really strong, viable character. Like, their new character stuff, like right now, the Blob, okay? You can buy 16 orbs of the Blob for $25. Now, that's one of their more fair, quote-unquote, deals, but for 16 orbs, it's all RNG, okay? So, at minimum, you're going to get 16 times 6, okay? So, at minimum, you should be able to get him at 2 out of 3 stars and halfway towards a 3rd star. You will most likely get him at 3 out of 7 stars. You could get really lucky and get him at 4, maybe even 5 stars if you really hit, but you're not going to. Whereas that's $25. For $20 in Marvel Heroes, you could buy a whole new hero. The last hero they were going to put out was going to be the Ragnarok version of Thor, and he was going to have 2 costumes, and he was going to have his main costume and his alt costume, and he was going to have, you know, some other little things, you know, some XP boost and stuff like that for $20. And he would start at level 1, and you would literally just level him and earn like normal just by playing the game. And people thought that was awful, you know? Whereas for $25, you can barely get a version of the Blob in Marvel Strike Force. So it's crazy to me, like, how this is all played out. And I almost wonder if maybe that's why Marvel Heroes shut down, is because it was too cheap, you know? Like, the characters were too cheap. So, I don't know. I love Marvel. I love Marvel games. I love playing them. I love supporting them. I just want it to be fair. And I know a lot of this is talking about, you know, Marvel, other Marvel games besides this one. I can tell you that this one looks like it's going to be an amazing premise. It looks like it's going to be well executed story-wise, and I think I'm going to have a lot of fun playing it. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it just comes down to how are they going to monetize it? You know, is this going to be another game where in order to be successful, you have to keep pumping money in every other week, every month, you know, because ultimately I'd rather just pay my money up front and just have the game and keep enjoying it. And I understand that a business doesn't operate that way, but I really feel like they shouldn't be creating games thinking about our wallet. They should be creating games thinking about, is this a great game that represents Marvel Comics really well, that people will enjoy and want to buy? You know, I feel it's just some of the Marvel games on mobile just feel like they're made with how can we use these characters to get people to pay for this? And that's what I hope this isn't. I honestly don't know how they're going to monetize this at all. It's interesting to think, but they're going to have to. So I'm really looking forward to it, though. Like all of that, all the, you know, possibly perceived negative stuff I just said, you know, this is going to be a cool game, and I don't know how it's going to play. I don't know how it's going to, you know, work, but based on the video they showed, it looks great. And Netmarble has never had a problem making stuff that looks great, and I love the premise of it. Now it just comes down to how is it going to work. So I'd love to hear what you guys think. Let me know. Number one question is, how do you play your mobile games? Like, what makes you decide, I want to play this mobile game now versus, you know, playing a console game? And number two, in a perfect world, where do you want to play your video games? You know, is it, I mostly want to play my video games on Xbox, personally. All right. If I can play a video game, my first choice is to play it on the Xbox. What is your first choice? You know, if it's mobile, that's fine. If it's Nintendo, PlayStation, PC, all fine. Just curious to hear and see. And what do you expect from this game? What characters do you hope for initially? I never dreamed that I would even be able to consider Nova could be an early entry into the game, especially when you consider how long and hard it was for Gazillion to get him into Marvel Heroes. He was supposed to be a launch character, and they kind of put a hold on him. So, I really honestly, I want to say, you know, thank you to Bill Roseman, Ryan Panagos, Danny Koo, Simon Sim, and Mark Sumalak, I believe. I want to say thank you to all of them for having the panel at PAX East, for introducing this in my home. Boston is my home, you know, like I love Boston. I live 40 miles to the west, and I had already done 2 days of PAX East. I literally drove there on Sunday just to go to this panel and also to meet Cynic Alex. So those are both great things that I was able to do. See the panel. It looks great. I do hope for the best, but I just needed to give my 2 cents on, you know, the problems with having 18 different mobile games and not having enough newish games to play on the console, you know? So anyway, I hope everybody enjoyed the video. I'd love to know what you guys think of Marvel Future Revolution. And, you know I kind of rambled a bit, but that's what I do. And we'll see ya.